You might think I don't know anything about opera, but I do. I am proud to say I have seen the first act of everything Wagner ever wrote. But I found the effect to be so powerful upon me. One act was quite sufficient. No, Wagner's music is better than it sounds. On one occasion, they sent me on a pool assignment with some other reporters and journalists, Bret Hart, Ambrose Bierce, and some of those. It was curious to note the next morning Ambrose reported we had been to Venetia. Bret Hart wrote we had been to the Cliff House. Well, the poor devils had been drinking and did not really know where we had been. I knew, but chose not to tell. So I timed my retirement at the call to coincide with my dismissal. Then I was fairly hard aground, financially. I did have just enough money to hire a hall and give a lecture. And I became intimately familiar with that great menace to the itinerant lecturer, known as the local interviewer. Oh, these people have a time-worn custom of probing you with a long string of personal questions, but you try to answer as conscientiously as you can. And then they go home and improve upon you. Oh, you can run over the printed result with a divining rod and not find yourself. One of these villains came pounding at my door well before noon, announcing he was with the call. Well, my first impulse was to pulverize him with the chair, but he sat down in it and began. Mr. Twain, may I ask you some questions calculated to bring up interesting points in your public and private life? Well, yes, but I have a very poor memory. Well, that's all right, just so long as you do the best you can. Let me begin with this. Who's the most interesting American you ever met? Aaron Burr. Aaron Burr? Aaron Burr died in 1836. You were born in 1835. How is that possible? It's not. But son, you have gained distinction. Well, this is the first time to my knowledge that fool paper of yours has corrected an error before it went to press. All right, then let me continue with this. Is your real name Mark Twain? I don't rightly remember at the moment. Well, that's a strange answer. You see, I happen to know for a fact that your real name is Samuel Langhorne Clemens. That might be. But you see, I had a brother, William. Bill, we called him. And we were twins. And we got mixed up in the bathtub. One of us drowned. Nobody knew which. Some thought it was Bill. Some thought it was me. What did you think? Oh, I'd give worlds to know. There was one curious thing about it, you see. One of the children had a curious mark behind the shoulder. It was a mole. That child was me. And that was the child that was drowned. That was the end of the interview.